Hello and welcome to episode 9 of the On the Gas podcast. I am here obviously with Lauren. We talked about all things MotoGP, World Superbike, BSB and Moto America, summing up each championship and what happened over the weekend, including Jorge Martin's fateful crash and recovery over the weekend and everything else in between, from Mark and Bagnaia getting punted out of the championship battle to Tyre pressure wars and Pedro Acosta sneakily, potentially, getting his second place. Hope you enjoy listening and enjoy. Hello everybody and welcome to episode 9 of the On the Gas podcast. I almost said 8 then, considering 9 or 7 the other week as well. That's a bad start, but hello, welcome back. I am joined by Lauren once again.
Hey everyone.
Cameron's sacked, so he's not.
Don't say that. People might believe that, to be honest.
No. He's just in Spain at the moment.
He sent us a video the other day.
Yeah.
So ever so slightly jealous. Just a little bit. But
yeah.
He'll be back next week, hopefully.
Yeah, fingers crossed. And then he can come back and talk to us about MotoGP. And everything else in between, of course. And the interesting race weekend that we had. I think we spent a lot of podcasts last week talking about Marquez and Bastianini and how they could add to this title fight. And then both of them were taken pretty much, not mathematically, but pretty much taken out of the title fight in a matter of a few corners, really. And in one race.
Well, every week we say in this podcast, oh, well, that's just our opinion, and oh, we'll probably end up looking really silly on next week's pod when all of this turns out to not be true. And I think this is a prime example of it. I think both of us talked a lot about how Enea Bastianini was sort of creeping up on the championship, and yet, like you said, it is still mathematically possible, but unfortunately with the mistake like what he made on Sunday, he's now 70 odd points back. It's looking less and less likely that he's going to be able to sort of sneak up on the championship like he was. But he said himself, look, he was going for the win on Sunday and he threw everything at it, and unfortunately the crash happened. So he wanted the win, he wasn't thinking of the bigger picture. So I think that's fair enough.
Yeah, you've got to, at this point, if you're 50 odd behind, you have to try and fight for the win. And he said he was going to sling everything at it, and I rate it. I respect it a lot because, he could have been safe and taken the points, but that doesn't make you a champion. And sometimes you have to go out there if you really want to win a championship, and you're on the back foot. You have to give it your all, and if that means you crash, you crash. But at least you can crash knowing that you tried and you didn't sit back and let somebody else take that title. You gave it your all, and that's the mark of a true champion, I think. And so,
yeah, I agree with that. I think in Mark's case, though, unfortunately, that sort of option was taken out of his hands a little bit, considering his bike went on fire.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, he had, again, a horrific qualifying. I don't know what it is. He even said, didn't he, on the sprint podium, it was like, it's the worst session of the week. And he actually swore on live TV, which is interesting because Mark, of all people, the most PR trained guy there, to swear. I was like, okay, he is actually quite annoyed about that.
Yeah, like he knows what he's saying when he talks to the media. Like, yeah, he can be a bit, I don't know, like a bit snarky almost, and knows, and sort of double entendres and stuff like that. But yeah, to hear him actually swear is a bit.
I was like, okay.
So yeah,
he's not
something
happy.
Seriously. Yeah, and Frankie Carcetti, obviously, as crew chief, gives great insights every weekend into sort of what's going on behind the scenes. And as like he said it week in, week out, we're weak in qualifying, and they've made no secret of it. So again, this week they're sort of saying, look, we're well aware, but we're trying our best with what we're working with. And unfortunately this weekend, on the back of some good qualifying results and seeming to fix that issue, maybe going back to the flyaways, sort of unknown territory sort of thing, has put them slightly on the back foot again. I mean, the temperatures were mad, in fairness to them. So yeah, maybe in Japan, with a circuit that Mark is good at, that, you know, we could see what happens. I don't think he's ever finished in Mandalika, a main race.
No, because did he miss it one year because he had that horrific crash?
I
And then it
think
was at the
so.
start of the year, the other year. Let's have a look.
Now, I know obviously he's had a sprint podium on Saturday, but yeah, I don't think he's finished the main race.
No, I don't either. So I've just typed in Marc Marquez, and a Crash.net article got posted today that says manipulator, in inverted commas, Valentino Rossi accused of making a mistake, in inverted commas, with Marc Marquez. And then Jorge Lorenzo's former crew chief believes that Valentino Rossi was mistaken to antagonize Marquez in 2015. Oh dear, let's put that one to bed and not
Oh no, we talked
that.
about that one enough.
That is staying firmly there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but let's have a look. Right, Indonesia. So DNF, and then last year DNF. Year prior to that, DNS, and that's it. Yeah, he's never finished a race there. I mean, he finished a sprint on the podium at least, but
Yeah.
never finished there. And it's not surprising to see him struggling in the qualifying, because Frankie Carcetti on the Off Track podcast even said his biggest weakness is qualifying. And you saw it. Johan Mir could never qualify. It took him ages to get his first pole in MotoGP. I don't even think he's had one. I think he's either had one or zero.
I think he had one. I think it was Valencia. I think it was the last race.
Yeah, I think it was.
And that was the race that he won, wasn't it?
No, he's had zero according to Wikipedia.
Oh, I think he started on the front row in that race. Check Valencia 2020.
That was it.
Front row.
Front row. So like
I got those two mixed up. Yeah.
On MotoGP website, because that's most reliable one you'll find. 0 victories this year. Not surprising. 2 poles. Yeah, they're both in Moto3. Yeah.
Wow.
Incredible. So, and then Didier always struggled with qualifying as well under Frankie Carcetti.
Yeah.
So it's not surprising to see Mark struggling. And like I said, it's not a dig on Frankie Carcetti, because he openly admitted that qualifying is maybe not his strong point. So
yeah,
maybe next year when Mark gets his new crew chief, we could see some better results. Obviously, being on a GP25 as well will aid him. But yeah, now the title race is between Martin and Bagnaia. And it's just mad. Misano won. It was Martin that made the error. And then we're like, oh my God, he's screwed it up. The next race weekend, Pecco crashes at a third. And you're like, oh my word, Martin's going to run away with it. And then the sprint race on the opening lap, Martin crashes. And you're like, does anyone want to win this championship this year? Even not Dylan Gray. Jeez, that's a long time ago. I think it was Neil Morrison said on the live comms that he crashed. Like, does anyone want to win this championship this year? And yeah, it's insane.
It's getting worse than Moto 2.
Yeah, I think Martin did a very good salvage job by winning the race, the main race, his first win since Le Mans, and Pecco was down in third after a pretty poor start again. But, it could have been very different if Pecco had won that race. And if Costa wasn't penalised, if Acosta wasn't penalised, if Acosta was penalised, it'd be 17 points, not 21.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, on last week's pod, I mentioned that I was meant to be starting work at 8 a.m. on Saturday morning, but I managed to sneak off to watch the start of the sprint race. Seen that Jorge Martin crashed, turned it off. I was like, are you actually joking me right now? I did go back and finish it later on. Yes. And I did go back and I seen what happened and I watched the rest of it. So don't worry. But at the time I was like, you have to be kidding me that this has just happened right now. Like, he did crash in Indonesia last year, so it's not a massive surprise. I don't know if it's up there with one of his favourite circuits on the calendar, but he's had bad history there anyway, so I wasn't massively surprised. Points gap down to 12 points then. it was a silly mistake. What can you do? Tyre seem to be playing a massive point in this championship. Both guys have said it now, but to come back on Sunday and win the race in the way that he did, I still think that the championship is in his favour at the minute, even with that mistake on Saturday.
Yeah.
Like, what a dominant race win. And with Pedro Acosta, who, yes, is a rookie, but him sitting behind you is going to be hungry for his first MotoGP victory, to manage the race in the way that he did. Championship material, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I even made a post about it earlier, I think, on Everything Motor Racing that said, what did it say? It said, if Martin can be consistent and not make any errors, I think the championship's his, because he doesn't have to win every race. He has to obviously be consistent enough to keep that gap to Pecco, which he has been able to do, barring the mistakes.
Yeah.
If he can just be consistent now for the rest of the year, not make the same error he made last year at Philippine with the tyre, and I think for now, I think it's Martin's to lose, and Ducati will give it hell for leather to try and make sure Martin doesn't. And Enea, I think now that Enea's out of the title race, his objective now is take points off of Martin. And I can't blame him. I can't blame Ducati for that, because at the end of the day, the last thing you want, as much as they'll be able to celebrate at the end of the year, yes, a Ducati has won the MotoGP World Championship. We are still on top. We are the kings. It's the wrong colour bike, for one. And two, it's with a team and a rider who will not be riding for Ducati next year, meaning that Aprilia will have a number 1 plate on the front of it. And that is not what Ducati want, especially when Pecco's on a run
No.
of three, well, could be 3 in a row.
Yeah, no, it's mad. I know we've joked about team orders in Ducati before, but I think we're seriously gonna see something going on. The mad thing is that yeah, Nea Bastianini's gonna have to get involved again in a championship that probably isn't his to fight
He's not.
for
He doesn't
anymore.
need that motivation because he's going to KTM anyway.
Exactly. So that's even more awkward that they're going to ask him to get involved in something that, he's in
Sort
the
of
same boat
investment
as
in
Jorge
him.
Martin, that he's out the door. Yeah, I'm really quite interested to see how Ducati are going to go about it. But I think all you need to look at is their 100th Grand Prix win a
Yeah.
couple rounds ago when Anea won. They wanted Pecco to win that race. And you can tell in the celebrations, like, yeah, they still had the t-shirts and all made, but they sort of just put the t-shirts on and that was that.
Yeah,
Whereas
it
I think
wasn't
if
like a
Pecco had
wow.
won, yeah, I think if Pecco had won, there maybe would have been like an elaborate celebration and a bit of
Well,
something going on. But that was my first point of there's if this keeps going the way that it's going, I think the higher powers are going to step in here
yeah, I
and do
think it
something
was.
about it.
It was also Pecco's 100th race, and he was running the number 100 on the side of his bike. So they were hoping for a rider on his 100th start to win their 100th race as
Oh, I
well.
didn't know that. Oh, that's so
Yeah,
awkward.
yeah. Then suddenly, oh no, it's an A. Whoops. But yeah, they did say, Pecco, didn't he, in the press conference, that it was a championship of mistakes this year a little bit. And
Yeah.
it is true. And I know I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I do go back to this point of, you know, riders like Lorenzo and stuff like that. They didn't win championships off mistakes and off errors of other riders. And so I do think next year, when you've got a rider who can be as consistent as Marc Marquez on the current bike, I do think it's going to expose a lot of weaknesses within Bagnaia. Martin is a different kettle of fish because obviously he's hopping in the Aprilia, but I do think he can fight at the front because I do think that Martin's talent can bridge that gap that Aprilia need. Whereas I don't think Aleix and Vinales have ever been consistent enough in the entirety of their careers to be able to do that. Well, actually, Vinales was an exceptional Moto3 rider and Moto2 rider,
Yeah.
so that's unfair to him. But in his MotoGP career, Vinales hasn't really shown it. So for them to now, it's a case of you really, like, it's almost as if they've had like when you start a job and you get like a 6-month probation period or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like they've had a probation period of you are allowed to make mistakes. You can make mistakes because we're going to make mistakes too. But next year, it's going to be you can't afford to make mistakes when potentially a rider of Marc Marquez's caliber is going to be there pretty much every race. And that's where it's going to be interesting because Marquez doesn't really crash out of main races. He crashes in qualifying and in free practice. But when it comes to the races where the points are on the line, that's when the mistakes don't come that often.
Yeah, and I think even if you take Marc Marquez out of that situation of like, yes, Jorge Martin's going to Aprilia, Marco Bezzecchi's going to Aprilia, you've got all a million riders going to KTM with Vinales, Bastianini, Pedro's obviously stepping up into the full factory squad. There's so much movement, and then we've also seen an improvement in Yamaha in the past couple of races, or Fabio with
Honda
Yamaha, I
as
should
well.
say. Honda made a massive step. I mean, Johan Zarco rode out of his skin at the weekend, start to finish. Maybe that's showing some early signs of possibilities for the Japanese manufacturers to make a step into next season. Then you're looking at, 6 more riders are in contention of possibly winning races, being on the podium, being in the top 5. It's a bit scary. 2 less Ducati bikes as well. So Pecco not only has Marc Marquez as his teammate, but doesn't have as many Ducatis that will sort of help him out a little bit. And yeah, team orders do come into play because I think at the weekend, I think Frankie Morbidelli pretty much moved out of the way for him for that move into third place, in my opinion. Don't know if that's the case, but they will move out of the way if they're told to move out of the way, is the thing.
And
So
Ducati will make sure of that as
yeah.
well.
Yeah. So,
And Frankie's the
it's
only one on their books next year from the 24
exactly. So
guys.
if anyone is going to move out of the way, it is going to be Frankie Morbidelli, obviously a fellow VR46 rider as well. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, and I think this is the last opportunity for them to be making the mistakes that they're making, because I do think next year, as much as all of the other riders that I've just mentioned will make mistakes next year, I don't know, I think there's a lot more opportunity for riders to prove themselves and
Yeah.
to take a big step. So, like you said, for the rest of this season, Jorge Martin just needs to stay on, I think, is the main thing, and to try and score more points than Pecco or force Pecco into making a mistake. And I mean that by like mind games. I mean that by like celebrating the way that he celebrated at the weekend. That win meant so much to him. Keep doing those sorts of things, back yourself, be confident, but not stepping over the line into overconfident, making those mistakes, pushing harder than you need to,
Hmm.
and just settling for the points that you can get, trying to take points when you take points out of Pecco when you can, and just manage it. He's got a 20-point gap or something at the minute, so he has room to sort of not chill out, but chill out in the
Can
same
finish
way. Yeah.
second a few times and it's all right, kind of thing.
Yeah, finish second. In these flyaway races, literally anyone could be on the podium. We've seen Pedro Acosta,
Yeah.
who has been struggling in the last couple rounds, or more than the couple rounds actually, struggling pretty much all throughout the summer with the
Off
KTM.
Aragon, yeah.
Yeah, and we're back to, sort of different circuit. Boom. There you go. The talent rises to the top. And there's Pedro Acosta. You see Zarco and you see Fabio up there too. It all sort of makes sense, sort of thing. So, but you can throw up surprise results. So Martin just needs to keep doing what he's doing. He made a mistake on Saturday and he rectified it on the Sunday. What more can he ask for?
That's it. As long as mistakes are okay, as
Yeah.
long as you can, one, either justify them,
Yeah.
or two, can undo most of it and make it right again.
Yeah,
And
which he did,
learn
to be
from a
honest.
mistake is the biggest point.
Yeah.
You have to learn from it, because if you're not learning, then what's the point? Because you need to use this experience to make sure that
Yeah.
the next time you're not making these errors. But on the counterpoint to obviously Pecco and Martin making mistakes, someone said to me the other day, which I did, to be fair, I was like, you know what, you are spot on, is the fact that Enea, Martin and Pecco are all on the same bike. They've pretty much got the same parts in there. Maybe Martin's on a little less because obviously he's moving away into a Pramac, so they don't want to give away too many secrets. But because they're all on the same bike with different riding styles, they can put in pretty similar lap times, and lap times that make it difficult to find an advantage and an edge, especially when you've got a rider riding the same bike that knows all the weaknesses and all the strong points of that bike, making it more difficult for you to then find that extra 2% or that extra 1% or that extra drive out of a corner or anything, because the guy behind you can do exactly the same. And so these riders, they have to ride harder to be able to win races, but that obviously comes with mistakes. You saw how hard Enea was pushing. Matt Oxley posted a photo on Twitter the other day, and you've got Martin out front braking, then Acosta, then you've got Bastianini braking to try and catch up to Acosta. And Bastianini is all sorts of shape, his legs way out, and you can see him pushing so hard. And that was as he went, I think he actually crashed after that photo was taken, because you have to push it so hard. And so they're making these errors because they're having to find that extra tenth a lap to try and eke out a gap or overtake the guy in front of you. That's difficult to do on these new bikes because of the aero and stuff, which is why you saw an Aero Martin at Minzano 2 collide. And so I can understand it, because not only are they on the limit, they're having to ride even further on that limit because of the other riders being on the same bike. And that is where the crashes are coming from. But in the same way, when you've got a rider who arguably has that extra 2% naturally without having to do anything extra in, say, Marc Marquez next year, that again will pose an interesting kind of situation where it'll be, where can he make up the difference on Digia and Pecco, who are on the GP25s, that they can't make up? Because it's no secret that, you know, Digia doesn't really like Mark that much, and so obviously he's going to try and beat Mark as much as he can. And then also Pecco himself is incredibly talented and will be trying to maintain that number one Ducati rider kind of thing, because Martin won't be a Ducati rider next year regardless if he wins the championship or not. So then it'll be a case of, where can they find that 2%? Because Marquez has come in on that 23, and then the data they're looking at and they're like, how's he doing that on our bike? We've never seen that on our bike before. Next year it'll be even more of that. And yeah, I think it's quite interesting. Is that going to force maybe Pecco into even more mistakes next year?
Yeah, I think it could, to be honest. But what worries me is the mistakes that he's making now.
Yeah.
Like, the first person that you try and beat is your teammate. And Enea Bastianini isn't threatening Pecco at all. Maybe
No.
leaving Misano, maybe he sort of thought, oh, maybe I do need to start worrying about third place. But, other than that, the two get on okay. There's never really been a championship fight between them. We've seen a couple battles here and there on track, but they weren't teammates at the time when that happened. So, I think he probably gets on with an AOL because of that. But yeah, I sort of lost my train of thought there halfway through that sentence.
Sorry.
But yeah, I don't know about it. Oh yes, I've figured out what I was going to say again. Pecco, I think, is blaming the bike a lot. And maybe
Yeah.
I just don't listen to what Jorge Martin is saying after his mistakes, but I just, week in, week out now, when he makes those mistakes, I feel like I'm consistently hearing an issue with the bike. Now, I know his starts have been a bit iffy recently. Again, that's sort of what he blamed his performance on this weekend, which is understandable if you've all watched the start, as we all have. It was pretty shocking, to be honest. So it's understandable he lost places and he had to fight back, and not ideal, basically. But again, in the same thing you're saying, Enea Bastianini's on the same bike and Jorge Martin's on the same bike. They're not seeming to have the same issues at the minute with the starts. So what's going on there? That doesn't really add up with the starts being bad, but you're saying that your riding style is 100% sort of thing. So yeah, I'm a bit confused with Pecco at the minute, and it's nothing against him, but I think I have said it on the podcast before that I just want him to own up and say, look, I made a mistake, or it didn't work out, or Jorge Martin was better than me today, sort of thing. Pedro Costa was better than me today. I just don't think we get that enough from Pecco, which coming into next year, if Marc Marquez can do what we've seen him do in the past, the mistakes from Pecco, he's not going to be able to blame the bike, because we're going to see Marc on the same bike doing incredible things. And you're sort of going to go, well, that really doesn't add up. So I'm already starting to get that now. So worries me for the rest of this year, and it worries me even more for next year.
Yeah, me too. I think it's going to be a very interesting kind of conundrum when we arrive to it about what's going to happen with each rider. And yeah, I can't wait for it. But we've still got this season to think about, I guess. We keep talking
Yeah,
about next year and we're like, what
I
about this
know.
year?
I know. I suppose with this year though, like, what have we got? 5 rounds left. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't know. I know I've said that I think it's in Jorge Martin's favor, which looking at it probably is the easy thing to go out and say. But with Pecco finishing third now in Indonesia, blaming the bike when Jorge Martin made it work. Yeah, I'm swaying more Jorge Martin the more and more Pecco opens his mouth, to be
Yeah.
honest.
With Martin, as much as 21 points is great, it is only one DNF with Pecco winning the same race for Pecco to take that championship lead. And
Yeah.
that's where it's going to be very interesting. And another interesting thing got unearthed this weekend, which was kind of a hole in the rules, shall we say, because Pedro Acosta had his tyre pressure examined after the race, shall we say, because it flashed up as it being a problem. And they found that there was something in the rim letting air out of the tyre, decreasing his pressure. Whether that was on purpose or not, we don't know. But they were like, okay, well, wasn't your fault. You put enough pressure in before the race. You're fine. Keep second place. What's to stop Ducati now developing tyres and wheels that let pressure out during the race?
I didn't realise that's what it was. I'd seen that it had been dropped and he hadn't been
Yeah,
penalised, but this whole tyre malarkey has just,
it's
I
destroyed
don't know.
racing, I think.
Yeah, for the fact that we waited like hours after the race for confirmation for Pedro Costa was crazy. And I know there was other riders, what was it, Nakagami and Brad Binder too, which didn't affect the
Maybe they're
podium,
like,
so I
let's
wasn't as
announce the next
worried about
round.
that. Yeah, I know. But like that's 3 results that were sort of sitting waiting. And then yeah, like you say, for them to literally announce on social media that these are provisional results for a week. You're meant to be the world championship. You're meant to be literally the top thing.
Mm.
And you're saying you can't figure out a race result for a week. Sorry.
Yeah,
What?
don't get
Now
that.
I'm not the person to sit here and say this is what you need to do to figure out these tire pressures. I've read plenty of articles. It goes straight over my head. Okay, I'm not about to sit here and be like they need to do this and they need to do that, but they need to do something. Either scrap it completely or do something pre-race or whatever. Because I've seen plenty of people say that, but they need to do something and they need to fix it before the start of next season, basically, because all year we've sort of been going, oh well, Fabio, for example, got a sprint race podium, then got demoted 16 seconds because
Yeah,
his tire pressures. We can't be having that. And you get to celebrate the podium and you get to spray your prosecco, etc. For what? When there's a rider sitting there who was meant to get it because your tire pressures. I don't know. It's a
yeah.
bit like, I don't know. It's a bit of a flimsy one for me. I just don't get it.
They need to come up with a new system
Yeah.
whereby, I don't know, because tire pressures change and you could be on the grid and you could change it. because you're like, actually, you know what? We're going to do this strategy instead of this one. But
Yeah.
if they can, I think they've got a system in the Tyre as well that will tell you the pressure. Why don't they, when the race starts, start of the race, they click and go through and make sure everybody's over that number. And if it decreases during the race, it decreases during the race. You know, it is what it is at that point. And yeah, all the teams might then use a strategy that means that it might decrease during the race to allow you to have the better, be able to lead the race maybe, or sit in second for a bit longer and then attack. But as long as you started the race with the right pressure, what gives? Like,
Yeah, that's the bit that sort of is grey for me, is that it's the throughout the race thing, and
yeah,
for so many laps or for part of a lap sort of thing, the tire pressures aren't running within the right
yeah, and you
parameters,
can't
and
sit there for ages because you might heat your tire up too much, or the pressure might drop too much, and you're like, it takes the fun out of watching a racer race because they're sat there
yeah.
worrying about the tire pressure.
And we're not getting these issues in BSB or World Superbikes, which comparatively this year, the racing has been a lot more interesting. The wheel
Mm.
to wheel stuff, anyway. And it's just a bit like, well, two other championships who have provided unreal racing can manage it. Why? Why can we not? It just seems that one thing after the other, whether it be aero or now tire pressures and aero, we're just adding more and more stuff into it that is just
Not
ruining the
necessary.
racing, to be honest.
Yeah,
So,
100%.
so you can't
Yeah,
overtake during the race, but also well, your tire pressures were under for a lap, so actually you've been disqualified or you've been given a
yeah.
16-second penalty or whatever it is now, and it's like,
Yeah, so not
what?
only can you not overtake, you're now scared to overtake in case of a tire
In case
pressure
you lead the
issue.
race and then your tire
Yeah,
pressures are all messed up.
it's
What?
stupid. Yeah, don't like it.
No.
Yeah, you did mention World Superbike there. That
Mm-hmm.
was very good at the weekend. We had Top Rack back, we had Rare back. Top Rack straight in, first session, P1, insane. And then that race one was probably one of the best races I've seen in a long time. Absolutely superb. Like, so many of the riders scrapping for the top places. It was, of course, JM89, who won his first race since 2016, and that was amazing in itself.
Yeah, I hadn't realized it had been so long, but I suppose when you put in the 4-year ban, obviously, you're taking yourself back quite a few years. But like that was mental. I hadn't realized it was Austria 2016 was his last win.
Yeah, it was only a MotoGP win, and then before that it was Moto2. So yeah, it's
Mad.
insane, but an unbelievable race. And then you had Super Pole race, which didn't get the chance to watch, but apparently that was just off the chain. And then yeah, race two again was very good. So really good racing all around, really. And World Superbike, you can't really complain. Great to see Garrett Girl off on the podium as well. I liked that a lot. That was really good. And then BSB, we saw Tommy Bridewell went into the weekend and mathematically could have won the championship, provided Ride didn't finish all the races and Glenn Irwin had a terrible race weekend as well. We left the weekend with Glenn Irwin still in third,
Mm-hmm.
Tommy now second, and Ride leading the championship into the final round, where I think obviously there's three races, but it's 25 points for a win, but 22 for second.
35 points for a
Yes,
win in the
that's
final
right.
showdown.
35 for a win. How many for second?
I can't remember what second is. I
Have a
just
look.
know Glenn had posted something that says like 35 for a win, sort of thing, like it's all still to play for. I
Yeah,
think mathematically it is the top three can win it because I did see a post with the three
yeah,
of them
it
in
is.
it. So I think that means Danny Kent in fourth is now ruled out. So like this is more exciting than last year, I think. The fact that we've got three guys that could still win it, we could see massive, massive fireworks, knowing how Tommy Bridewell and Glenn Irwin get when they start racing each other for a championship. We could be in for a really, really good weekend of racing next week.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just trying
I'm
to
sad we
find.
have to wait for a week.
I know it sucks, doesn't it?
I
Let's
know.
have a look. BSB standings, maybe. It's not going to be there,
I
is
seen
it?
it somewhere. Let me see if I can find it.
Oh,
It'll
they've
be on their
put
Instagram
Aston
or
back on the
something.
calendar as well for next
That
year.
that calendar confused me a little bit, I'm not gonna lie.
And then as well, the Lucas Brown, the British Talent Cup, champion, has been promoted to the Red Bull rookies for next year, which is great. Does mean that Brinton misses out on the seat, finishes in second place, but yeah, solid year for him. But I'm intrigued because I'm trying to read and speak at the same time. I'm
Yeah, I
intrigued
know
though
it's really
because
difficult.
he's absolutely huge. I don't know if you've seen Lucas Brown on a bike. He's an absolute unit, and he makes that
I only
Moto3
seen
look
pictures
tiny.
today.
Yeah,
I
and
only
so
seen pictures today with the confirmation.
I'm like, why are you then going to go onto a Moto3 bike, a Rebel Rookies bike? Because you're too big, mate. So
No, where did I see? I'm on the. Let me find the BSP
yeah, I'm trying to
website.
find it
I'm
as well. Trying to see where on earth is the points.
here.
Come on,
Is it in the calendar? Maybe.
I don't know.
Oh, I had literally seen it not that long ago
Yeah,
too.
calendar maybe. Right, we'll get back onto event details. Have a look.
Showdown finale.
Click here to read more. I'm clicking and it's not doing
Oh,
anything.
here we go. Here we go. 35 for a win.
Yeah.
30 for second.
Oh,
27 for third.
blimmin' egg. So 105 points available
Yeah.
with Kai Ride with 398 in first, Tommy Bridwell 4 points back with 394, and then Glenn Irwin with 352. It's all to play for.
I mean, I know I'm biased by saying I want Glenarvan to win, but I understand that that is a lot of points back, and
Mm.
the way that Kyle and Tommy have ridden this season, I really don't see either of them making a massive costly mistake in this last round. So
Tommy crashed out Alton race 1, didn't he?
Alden, I know, but
Then Ride had a
I don't
terrible race
know.
2,
Exactly, and scored barely any points.
3
So
points.
they're a bit Jorge Martin Pecco Bagnaia here. So
Yeah.
I don't know what's gonna happen here. If I had to put money on it, I'd want to say Kyle Ride. I'd really, really like to see him win it.
It is close. I don't know. I mean, they can't win it in race 1.
No,
Potentially race 2 if race 1 is absolute carnage for somebody, for either
I don't want
Ride or
it to
Tommy
go down
Bridewell. But
to
I want it to be
oh
a John Hopkins and Tommy Hill 2011 Brands Hatch
no,
scrap, whatever it was.
no. We'll
That
even
was,
look at last year
yeah. Or when
with
Taron
half a
raced Tommy,
point.
yeah, or half a
Yeah,
point. That was crazy. But yeah,
like,
very excited
phew.
for it.
But
We've
that's
got to
next
wait.
weekend.
It's not. It's
Yeah,
the weekend
next
after.
weekend. No, it's next weekend.
Oh wait, yeah, sorry, because it's the first
It's
today, and I was like, it's the
Tuesday.
weekend today for some reason. So I was like, oh, it's not next weekend. Yeah, sorry, I'm
Well,
stupid.
it's not this weekend, so yeah,
No,
it's next weekend.
yeah, and then we had Moto America. The championship got tied up there with Josh Herrin taking his second Superbike championship. Josh Herrin's career is a bit nuts because he won the championship, I think, 2013, then went to Moto 2 for a bit.
Yeah.
Then went back, won the Stock 1000 Championship, then the Supersport Championship with a few Daytona wins in there, and now has won Superbike again. So yeah, very nice to see. 30 years after Troy Corsa did it, for the same Fast by Ferrucci squad. Well, no, for the Fast by Ferrucci squad, and then Josh Herron ran the livery for it. And then the baggers, it was Aussie Troy Herfoss, who in his first year on the baggers managed to seal the deal and beat Harley Davidson on his Indian. That was ace. Hayden Gilliam also won his second consecutive Stock 1000 championship. And yeah, it was just a great weekend in terms of championships being kind of finished. Sad that America's finished. Sad that BSB's finishing next weekend. I think, how many has World Superbike got left?
2,
2?
I'm gonna say.
Yeah, calendar. Let's have a look. Come on. Yeah, I think it's Harath and yeah, Estoril on the
Estoril.
same weekend as BSB. And then a
Oh,
week later, the Superbike finale, Top Rat can win the championship at Estoril. So
I'd say he could do it.
yeah, I think he's 37 up at the moment. Which
Imagine that though, missing 6 races due to injury and still managing to not only lead the championship, but then on your first weekend back, extending it again.
yeah, that's it. Well, Beluga, because he had a DNF, didn't he, which didn't help, and that
Yeah,
pretty
well,
much destroyed it. But 39 points is the lead right now. He just needs to leave Estoril with a 62-point lead, and he's sorted. He's done it. A round early on the first year on the BMW, missing 2 rounds.
I don't know if he'll get it around early, but I'd say he'll get it wrapped up before the final race of
Yeah,
the final round.
yeah, and he said he'll not run the number 1 ever again. So
Oh,
yeah, which is sad.
did it? Because he didn't get to maintain it, or
He just felt it was kind of unlucky. He's a 54 guy because of Keenan Sofoglu, and then obviously Batty and Sofoglu runs it as well, and then a few other Turkish
yeah.
riders run the 54. So he wants to keep 54 for that reason. But
I wonder why Dennis Onshu runs 53 then. Does someone ride 54? And
I believe Shannon Chu runs 61. It must have been just a choice because they can run the 54 if they want to, but I guess because the Onshu twins maybe came up a different way and then met up with Top Rack, whereas Top Rack was mentored by Keenan since he was very young.
yeah, maybe the twins also, they can't both run it.
Yeah,
So maybe they
maybe.
decided
So
to
they
both run something else.
different numbers. Yeah, maybe. Not too sure.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
if Dennis or Chan is listening to this, can either one of you confirm
yeah.
why
Yeah.
you don't run the 54?
Yeah, because there is another rider now that they've added to the academy, shall we say. He runs 54 as well, but I can't remember his name. And he's also Turkish. But yeah, and back into MotoGP paddock with Moto2, because Canet, after we spent all last weekend taking the mick out of him getting second, destroyed the field and won in Moto2. I mean, that was impressive. Very happy for him.
Yeah. I mean, I can't say I'm surprised, to be honest.
Yeah.
The last couple
He
rounds,
listened
he's
to the
been knocking
podcast
on
and
the
was like,
door.
show.
Yeah. Well, he's
Yeah.
been knocking on the door the last couple of rounds, and this is just, it's so Aaron Canet to do. To be honest, I am chuffed for him as much as we did completely rip him last week. It
Yeah.
is nice to see him, and again, he had a lovely wee Instagram post and young photos of him and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And yeah, no, he really wanted that one, and yeah, he wanted to prove a lot of people wrong, including ourselves. So
Yeah.
fair play to him. He channeled that energy into a race win, and it was pretty impressive, to be honest.
Yeah, and he's gone from 9th to 3rd in the championship in about 3 or 4 races. He's tied with Alonso Lopez, but has
He
more
started in the
wins.
championship.
Yeah, he was 9th the other week. Now he's 3rd. He's only 10 points behind Sergio Garcia, who crashed out again.
Don't.
I don't know what's going on with that boy.
It makes me really quite upset actually thinking about Sergio Garcia, to be honest, because I do think that this year could have been his year,
Mm,
but there's just been so much stacked against him with bad luck and injury in the last couple rounds. And before that, his head's just clearly not in it, missing out on that MotoGP
that's it.
seat. I'd say it pretty much must have been like verbally agreed or something, and then
Mm,
it's been ripped away from him, sort of thing. By the vibes I'm getting from him anyway, in the last however many rounds since that's all sort of been confirmed, it's not nice to see a rider mentally struggle with racing a bike. Obviously we see them get injured physically quite a lot and they're able to overcome that, but when it sort of just keeps spiraling and getting worse, it's rough. So hopefully he can finish the season strong and then reset and go again next year, because if he can start next season how he started this season and maintain that throughout the year, I do see him being very hard to beat.
yeah, I agree 100%. I
Sorry, I
mean,
cut you off guard there.
no, fine. So his last podium was Assen.
Oof.
Yeah, so quite a
Yeah.
while ago now. And since then, he's had a 7th, a 4th, a 14th, a crash, 12th, and 2 crashes in a row. So he is struggling. And the fact that Canet's now only 10 points behind him when Sergio Garcia was like 30 points up at one point is a show of that. And it is a shame. Obviously, Aguro's now got a 42-point lead in the championship now. 125 on the board. So it's anyone's at this point.
Yeah, it still literally is anyone's. And we've seen Ayagura have runs of bad luck or bad performance before. He did say a while ago, actually, I seen a clip of it there, an interview with Gavin Emmett, I think it was, with TNT Sports this weekend, and they brought up an interview that he did closer to the start of the season with Neil Hodgson, where he said, "I want to win the Moto2 World Championship."
Before he
And
goes
at the
up.
time, at the time I was like, "Oh, how strange that all he cares about is winning Moto2, and he doesn't even care about MotoGP." And at that time, obviously, nothing was confirmed that he was moving up, and we sort of thought that other people were in contention for the seat that he got basically in MotoGP. So I find that so funny now, looking at the interview that he did this weekend, and he's like, "Well, you know." I can't say anything too early. There's obviously still 5 rounds to go. But yeah, Gavin Emmett basically alluded to the fact of like, you were right all that time ago that like, yeah, this is your one opportunity to do it now.
Yeah.
You've got a 42-point
I do
lead.
it.
So
Yeah,
there's no time like the present.
It's gone from being top 17 in Moto2 to win the championship to now the top 10 can win the championship. In MotoGP, let's have a look because I'm now intrigued. 37 times 5 is 185. So in MotoGP, the top 366 minus 185, 181. In MotoGP, the top 5 can win the championship. That's Acosta is the last one in contention with 181 with 5 to go.
Pedro Acosta.
Still mathematically can. So yeah, and then in Moto3, this is gonna be nuts. So before we go into Moto3, so yeah, obviously Darren Binder was also confirmed at Goscinny, so he's on a switch with Manuel Gonzalez, who basically just swap places. But yeah, 296 minus 125. I can't type. Is 171. So Moto3, the top 4, which was the same the last race as well. But
Oh, right, okay.
David Alonso can, with a 97-point lead at the moment, wrap up the championship this weekend. All he has to do is leave with 3 more points than he has now. So, and Holgado he basically has to outscore Holgado by 3 points. So, and then who's that? Ortola, he has to outscore by 15 points. So wait, am I getting it the wrong way around?
No. I read somewhere that if he wins,
If he
he's
wins the
got it
race,
in the
he's
bag.
champion. Yeah.
Right.
Because
Okay.
he'll have outscored Holgado by 3 points. So if they're separated by 1 point in the points, he's not champion.
Yeah.
Because he needs to leave with a 100-point plus gap to be champion. Whereas if he leaves with a 99-point gap, he's not champion. I'm just overcomplicating it, basically.
Yeah. So, yeah. But we'll keep
Yeah.
it simple. If he wins, he
If he
wins.
wins and Holgado's second, he's champion. If he's second and Holgado's third, he's still champion. Fourth and fifth, I think he's still champion. And then fifth, that's when it gets a bit weird. But yeah, wins the race, champion. And it would also make him the most successful Moto3 rider ever, because the record currently is Romano Fenati with 13 Moto3 wins. And Alonso has 13 wins as well. Third is Louis Salom, bless his soul, with 11 wins. And I also did some digging and did some stats because I come locked and loaded with stats. So, David Alonso is now the most successful Moto3 rider in terms of win percentage. So out of every race that David Alonso has done in Moto3, he has won 37% of them in 2 and a bit seasons. Second place is Pedro Acosta with 33.33 wins, and then third,
I mean, he only
Joan
did a
Mir.
season.
Yeah, so he won a third of all his races in one season. And then, third, Joan Mir, Sandro Cortese, Luis Salom fifth. And then if you want the rest, Vinales sixth, Guevara seventh, Rins eighth, Danny Kent in ninth, and then Jack Miller in 10th. Because Danny Kent, 14% of all his Moto3 races, but 37% win rate is disgusting. And then the most...
But he's a chance to win more too. Like, yeah, he gets the championship wrapped up, but he could theoretically win the next
finish
5
on
races.
19. You can finish on 18 race wins.
18, yeah.
Mental. And then the stat, you won't... Right, they're on the grid this year. I want to see if you can guess it. Which rider holds the Moto3 record for the most consecutive race finishes at 44? Can you name the rider? You will be surprised.
Consecutive race wins.
No, consecutive finishes.
Oh,
so they've
sorry.
finished 44 consecutive races.
And they ride in Moto3 currently?
This year, yeah. The record's not ongoing, so it stopped in like 2021, but because they crashed out of a race.
Confused. Oh,
so
they don't ride in Moto3 now?
No. They race in Moto3 this year,
but
they're not. They're not going. The record isn't continuing, or that they're not on a 44 race finish streak because they crashed out of a race a few years ago to end that streak. But they have finished 44 races consecutively at some point in their Moto3 career.
And they race in Moto3 currently?
Yeah.
Okay. Who's raced in Moto3 long enough to have that sort of record?
Don't know.
I need a list of Moto3 riders. Can I look that up? Is that acceptable?
Yeah, fine.
I'll just look up this year's current grid.
Yeah.
Teams and riders.
And if you're playing along at home, can you work it out?
If you're playing along at home, you've probably already figured it out.
I will say as well, if you're thinking, Joan Mir holds the record for the most wins in a season with 10, and Alonso has 9 currently.
A 44 race
consecutive
streak.
Yeah.
Consecutive finish. Yamanaka.
How did you get that?
I'm looking at his name.
Fair enough. Yeah, it is Yamanaka.
Just to prove to everyone, that's what I'm looking at. Okay,
how did you pull not
even
out of everyone.
So that's not even in order. That's just the teams and riders.
And you went with Yamanaka.
Am I actually right?
That is correct. Did you cheat?
No.
Yeah, it was Yamanaka.
Where would I even find that information on?
Motorsportstats.com.
Oh, I didn't even know that thing's a thing. Right, so I went onto Wikipedia, Moto3 2024, and I looked up teams and riders. As you can all see here, teams and riders. And I read through the list. I was right with Yamanaka.
Yeah, so you did.
We should have done that for points in the fantasy league.
Yeah, so you did 4 races in 2019, and then so that counts for 4. And then from 2020 in Qatar to Catalonia 2022, which is 40 races, you finished every single one. You didn't.
I always think
but
he never crashes much.
No.
You never really see him.
Well, he didn't crash the entirety of last year. He didn't get a single DNF last year. Had 2 this year, but yeah. Maybe a few more. They've not actually updated this page. But there. And then some more random information for you. Second on that list of consecutive finishes is Dennis Onshu, which I was surprised by. Because I was like, well, he's a crasher. He's a whatever. No, 41 consecutive finishes. And Danny Kent in third with 40. Tied with
Dennis
Jakob
Onshu?
Yeah, 41 consecutive finishes.
When? Literally when?
Yeah. I'm intrigued now about Moto2, because now I'm like looking at this stuff. People at
We'll
home are
have to
probably
make a
like,
post
what
about
is
him
this? Yeah, let's have a
before
look.
we've literally sent everyone to sleep.
Yeah, yeah. So in Moto2, the win record, wow, 56 finishes for Jesco Raffin. Second is Dominic Agata, 46. Win records. Most wins in Moto2, Marc Marquez with 16.
I was going to say Zarco.
Win percentage, what? Marc Marquez won 50% of all his Moto2 races. That's insane.
Well, yeah, that's when he started getting really good,
Yeah.
obviously.
And then second is Ralph Fernandez with 44.44. And then Pedro Costa third with 27%. And Pecco and Vinales are tied with 22.22.
Oh, so
Yeah.
Zarco. I suppose Zarco was there for years.
Yeah, he was. He's not even there. Zarco's 8th. Yeah, Plymouth
Oh.
Fernaldi goes on that list. But Marc Marquez is 50% and Ralph Fernandez 44 is
Well,
mental.
Raul was only there for a year,
1 year, yeah. The biggest win
and he is the
streak.
moral champion. So.
Yeah. And Tony Elias and Fermin Aldeguer are tied with the biggest win streak of 4. That's surprising to think no one's won more than 4 races in a row. And that was last year they did that.
Mm.
Podiums. Most podiums is Thomas Luthi, 53. That's mental. Podiums in a season, Marc Marquez, Rabat, Zarco, and Acosta at 14. Podium streak, Marc Marquez, Zarco with 12. That's nuts. And then, yeah, best finish result is Jesco Raffin with 56 consecutive finishes. So, yeah, that's interesting. Shall I do MotoGP whilst we're going? Why
I
not?
mean,
I've done all of
you've
this.
got us this far.
Consecutive finishes. Giacomo Agostini had 46 of them.
Of course he did.
Well, he did win like 40 races in a row. He won every race in 350 and 500 for like 4 years straight. Win percentage. Jano Saarinen with 66.66. That's insane. Insane talent, to be honest. Wins of the season. Marc Marquez and Martin with 13, but that counts sprints.
Oh,
I don't like that. Yeah,
no.
13 with Marc Marquez. Win streak. Giacomo Agostini won 38 races consecutively.
I wasn't expecting that.
And second, Mike Hailwood with 21. That's why they're the
What?
GOATs. Yeah, that's why they're the GOATs.
We need to take Marquez and Rossi off the list of goats
Yeah,
when we start talking about them. That's
because they were
mental.
the tracks they were on and the bikes they were on with the safety they had as well. And their Surtees were 15. And podium records, Rossi with 199, of course. Podiums in a season, wow. It's sprints, that's why. But Bagnaia holds the record for the most podiums in a season at 28, including sprints,
No.
which is nuts. Martin with 23.
No.
The one they've got back, Marc Marquez with 18 there. That'd be 2019. Then
Yeah.
Valentino Rossi has 16. That'd be 2002 and 2003. Podium streak. Giacomo Agostini with 40. Rossi with 23. Pole positions. Marc Marquez 69. Nice. Bagnaia's got the most poles in a season at 15. Bagnaia's had 15 pole positions in a year.
In one season.
That's nuts. I hope
Okay,
this is
does that count
correct.
sprints again?
Well,
That he
God,
started
yeah, it
pole on
would.
2
Yeah,
races?
that's
There's
true.
no
Marquez has
way
13.
Bagnaia had 15 poles and no one knew about it.
Yeah. Well, Mick Doohan holds a streak for 12 consecutive pole positions, which is crazy. Fastest laps, Valentino Rossi was 75, then Marc Marquez 68, then Pedrosa. And now, yeah, consecutive finishes, Agostini 46, Marco Melangi with 43, and in third
Wow.
place, Franco Morbidelli with 41. And we could
When was
even
that
say,
again?
probably a few years ago, I think. And then fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh are all tied. Puig, Doohan, Hopkins, and Guidoli at 37. And then Luca Marini, 36. Yeah, Puig up there is nice, and then Hopkins. I didn't expect to see John Hopkins' name there, to be fair, or Quintoli for that kind of much of a record. But yeah, I just thought, why not? I'm not going to do
On
World
that
Superbikes.
bombshell.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if you want
let's
to do
not get
World
into
Superbikes,
that.
you can do it yourself. To be fair, I will say Andrea Locatelli has the most consecutive finishes at 66. That's
In
crazy.
Superbikes?
Yeah. They've got Super
Wow.
Sport in here and all that. They've got everything. It's
No,
nuts. We're not doing that though.
no, I'm going to put my fingers in my ears if you keep going.
Yeah. Yeah, that is nuts, to be fair.
Or I'll just turn you off, take my
Yeah.
headphones out.
Right, we'll do predictions instead, because that's a bit more interesting.
Is it
Yes.
more interesting?
So, oh yeah, because I've got to do last week's as well. So, in Moto 3, none of us got pole, none of us got third, none of us got second. We all got first, David Alonso.
Did I not put Alonso for pole?
It was Ortola on pole.
Oh.
You put Alonso to
Well, that
win,
would be
though.
why.
Yeah. So heading into the weekend, I led with 721, Cameron with 531.
700?
721. Yeah. Then Cameron with 531, then you with 485. So lagging down a bit there after that. After Moto 3, I lead with 746, Cameron with 556, and Lauren with 520. So you're only 36 back, which is what Anea was before he crashed out of the main race. Before the weekend went into it. In Moto 2, we all put Canet second, hilariously. So that's first and second compromise straight off the bat. Lopez got third, so we didn't get first, second, or third, but you and myself got pole position correct at Aaron Canet. So
I'm
both get
annoyed
10
because
points.
I had Agura and Canet on the podium, obviously, but
You did,
just
yeah. Wrong way. Wrong
in the wrong
places.
place, and Arbolino was
Well,
nowhere to be seen. So
me and Cameron had Canet second, Agura first. Yeah, so now you're on 530, so 26 back, and I'm on 756. And then in the final race, we all put Martin for pole, so we all get 10 points. I didn't get anything else correct after that, so I finished with 766. You predicted Martin to win, and that you also had Marquez and Bastianini on the podium with a Martin sprint win as well.
did I
So
put a
that went well.
scud on them or something? Literally, Martine
3 good.
wins, and then Mark and Anea, and the two of them, one's bike goes on fire, and the other one crashes out. Is that such
Yeah.
a sick joke?
And you have Martin for a sprint win as well.
Yeah, I know.
So you finish the weekend with 575 points. I
Am I the
finished
only
with
one who
7,
scored points?
and then
With
Cameron got Martin on pole, Bagnaia to win the sprint, and Bagnaia third
damn
to get
it!
38. So he now leads with 590. No, he is in second. Sorry, with 594. So
So how far am I behind?
you have climbed back. To be fair, 594 minus 575, 19. You're in 19 back now. From
You
36 to
had
19.
me think that I'd bunny hopped him again, and now, like, for that split second, if you go back and watch this, you'll see the hope in my face that I thought I'd
It's just
absolutely bossed it this weekend.
rained out. Yeah.
That's really
Sorry.
upsetting.
Well, you've got another chance to make up for it this weekend.
Oh, great.
So, Moto 3 pole, me and Cameron have gone Alonso because I can't see anybody else getting pole. What are you going for?
Yeah, maybe I'll change it up because I had Alonso for pole last week, and it was Ortola the week past. Who was pole, etc., podium, etc. last year?
Oh, God.
I don't ever look this up.
Moto 3 2023. It was, it'd probably be like Messia.
It'll be Jamie Messia, yeah.
Let's have a look. Where are we in? Japan. Where is Japan? There it is.
Sasaki.
Messia won as well. And then Japan Alonso. That's Indonesia I'm looking at. Masia, Sasaki, and Holgado.
I can't even remember what Motegi's like is the problem off the top of my head.
Long straight. Two of them. No, one of them. Very long straight. Oh yeah, it's got two long straights to be fair. It's got one before the tunnel. Then you got the long back straight where Pedrosa did an insane stopping in 2 years ago.
Yeah. I don't want to go with Alonso, just to change it up. So let me put. Oh, let me put. I'm really struggling. Baqueras.
Piqueras. Okay.
Randomly.
On pole.
Yeah. Why not?
Nice. Well, we finally got there in the end. So now you got to the podium.
That's
Moto3.
okay. I've
So
thought
who are you
about
going
that
for
bit more.
third? I'll stick with you.
I'll go with Ortola.
Nice. Okay. Cameron's gone for a Sato, which I can't blame him for.
Fair. Yeah.
That. I've gone Holgado. I'm going to stick with myself and say for a Sato second, because why not?
Oh,
Cameron's
nice.
gone Via, who did crash out of the race at the weekend in Indonesia. You've gone for?
Means nothing. I'm going to stick with my second place man from last week, which is Danny Holgado.
Nice. And now, are we all predicting Alonso to win the championship this weekend?
I would like him to. So, yes, I'm going to stick with him. But I'll be really interested to see in how he races this weekend, if he gets nervous or if he sort of changes his ways. He's been so good in his racecraft, especially in the last couple of races that we've seen, where he picks his moment perfectly.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's been no real pressure, whereas this time he can get it wrapped up. So I feel like there's pressure on him that, I don't know, he's not been in this position, so is he going to make a mistake and take it to the next round, or is he just going to absolutely boss it? So
yeah, we don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see, I guess.
Only time will tell.
Oh yeah. Right, pole position Moto2. I'll go with Gura. I'll go with Gura for pole. I will get like his up quick. Yeah, I'm going to Gura because home ground advantage and all that malarkey.
Yeah.
So it was Somkiat Chantra who also won the race.
Injured?
Pedro Acosta
Question
third.
mark?
And a Gura second. Oh yeah, because he got hit in the leg, didn't he, by
whacked his leg.
I'm surprised that hasn't happened earlier, to be honest, with all his riders sticking their legs out.
Yeah. I'm not surprised by that one. No, I don't think he'll be up there this weekend. I'm going to go with Fermin.
Okay. So Fermin Aldiger on pole. Cameron's gone Canet. Cameron's gone Lopez third.
He's just done this week's podium.
Yeah.
And changed it about a bit.
Yeah, he has to be third place. I'll go Dixon. Why not? He's not been on for a little while. Lopez from Cameron, and yourself third?
Arbolino.
Right. Second, Cameron's gone Canet. I'll stick with Canet because it's trusty. And you'll go with?
I'm going to go with second. This is, yeah. Aldegar.
Nice. Okay. Interesting. For the win, I'm going to go Gura, home advantage again. I'd love to see him win on home soil. Yeah. To see him win in Moto2 before he goes to MotoGP, amazing. Love to see that.
And if he ends up winning the championship this year with a home race win and then, the dream, getting the MotoGP seat, I just think that would be a really nice way to finish his Moto2 career.
Yeah, I agree. MotoGP pole, I'm going to go Marc Marquez. You're going to go... I know. He likes this place, though. You'll go Cameron's got Martin, sorry.
Has he?
Yeah.
Interesting. Who was pole last year?
Oh my god. Probably Martin. MotoGP 2023. It was... When I find it... Japanese Jorge Martin, who also won the race. Bagnaia was second, and Marquez was third on the Honda.
Oh yeah, I remember this. Who won the sprint?
Oh god, I've just deleted.
Was there a sprint? Oh no, that was Australia. I'm getting mixed up.
Sprint was Martin.
Ah. Well, here's the thing. I'd flipped about who I thought was doing well.
Hmm.
And last week I thought I'd made a mistake by putting Martin down for pole, sprint, and race win. And obviously 2 out of those 3 ended up being correct. So now I
Yeah.
don't know if I should switch to Pecco based on previous
Form.
form. Oh. Yeah, I'll change it up. I'll go Pecco.
Okay, nice. Right. I've got Martin to win the sprint. Who are you going for?
Marquez.
Nice. Okay.
Marquez.
Because Cameron failed to put a sprint winner in there, I'm going to nominate him to have Remy Gardner because he's a wild card.
Oh no, oh my god, he's just replied. No, he's
That's
just replied.
mental. He's literally just, that's
Oh my
absolutely
god.
insane timing. That's insane timing. He's literally, as I said those words, he's put Martin. That is mental timing.
Whoa, what a lucky boy.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have kept it Gardner anyway, but yeah, Gardner is wild carding as well this weekend. That's nuts. I can't believe that. But yeah,
The timing is wild.
as the words came out of my mouth, we put Martin. Crazy. He's probably listening in. That's why. So third, I've got Bastianini. Cameron's got Martin.
I was thinking Bastianini, but actually, yeah, I am going to keep Bastianini.
Okay.
I'm going to keep the same podium as last week.
So Marquez second and Martin to win.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Martin to win. So I've gone Martin second. Cameron's gone Bagnaia second. You've obviously gone Marquez second. You've gone Marquez to win. You've gone Marquez second, Martin to win. There we go.
Yes.
Cameron's gone Bastianini to win. And I want to see some sprinkles of fire on this championship. And I've gone with Bagnaia to win the race.
Ooh.
Crawl some points back.
Well, we all have the same idea.
Yeah.
Or the same people, but a slightly different idea.
Remixed
of what we want. Yeah, what we want to happen.
Yeah. Some news before we end is that Aki Ayo has been confirmed to replace Francesco Guidotti at KTM. That is KTM next year are just on smoke. They've got Bastianini, they've got Vinales, they've got Brad Binder, they've got Pedro Acosta, they've got Danny Pedrosa still, Paul Espargaro, they've got a new team manager in Aki Ayo, who's one of the most successful team managers in history in the lower classes. The guy's an absolute genius. He's worked with Pedro and Brad Binder for years. KTM are cooking.
Yeah, they're cooking something because it has not worked this year at all. I find it really surprising. Obviously, I don't know the inner workings of KTM and why they've decided to part ways with Guidotti, whether it be mutual or they've decided that they need to go in a new direction. But to put the faith in Aki Ayo, I mean, they already give him free rein. He obviously has his Ayo squad in Moto 3 and in Moto 2. It's run by him as well, isn't it? So, they gave him that freedom with the young riders, and he produces these fantastic stars and gets them up through into MotoGP. So it does make a lot of sense to put him in charge, considering he nurtures the riders from when they're in Moto 3 the whole way up. But yeah, still a surprise at the same time, to be honest. Yeah. But I'm excited for it. If there's one man to do the job, I think it's him.
Yeah, 100%. Because it was rumored to be Danny Pedrosa, but Danny turned it down.
That made no sense. Yeah, that made no sense.
Yeah, bit of a mad one. But yeah, very interesting. Before we round it off, just wanted to give a massive shout out to Filippo Ravelli, the Italian rider, multiple already national trophy 1000 champion, quite young actually, genuinely, and a very fast rider. And he battled Luca Salvadori all year long in that national trophy. Salvadori, someone summed it up really nicely actually on my Instagram post. I'll read out quickly. So Ravelli battled all year long with Salvadori. Salvadori won 4 of 4 races, had 100 points with 2 races to go. Ravelli 77 back, or had 77 points. And, well, let's just face it, Salvadori obviously tragically lost his life recently, couldn't race. If Ravelli won both of those races, he'd be crowned champion. Ravelli said, nah, this is it. This is your championship. I'm not going to take that from you. And that, for one, is an incredible gesture of sportsmanship, because Salvadori has tried, this is what somebody's mentioned on my post, Salvadori has tried so hard since 2017 to win it, but has every kind of bad luck. High side at Mugello in 2017, a rainy race in Vallelunga red flagged in 2018 when he was recovering after a crash. When he went from 20th to 3rd, was going 3 seconds per lap quicker than the leader. When they called the red flag and called the race to the standings of the previous lap, where he was 8th and gave half points, losing him the championship. In 2019, he had a massive crash in Mazzano, suffered some health issues because of it. 2020, an electronic issue at Imola cost him an 11th place finish and lost the championship from that. 2021, another massive high side at Mugello. 2022, another massive crash in Imola. And then 2023, he only raced there part-time due to his Moto3 duties. I remember his video after that Mugello crash in 21, and it was insane. Like, he destroyed himself. And then he dominated this year. Finally his year. And it's so sad to think that he never actually got to celebrate that success. And so the fact that Ravelli was like, you can have that championship. I don't want it. You deserve it. You earned it. Is so lovely. So yeah, he has posthumously been crowned the National Trophy champion for 2024, and that will remain forever. They've also retired as 23 in the series. I also found, I didn't mention it on the pod, but it was quite touching actually that in Mazzano 2, a few days after his death, the number 23 won the MotoGP race as well. That was like
Yeah,
a
I
nice little,
actually, someone else had pointed that out on Twitter. I had seen that, but yeah, I've completely forgot about it on the podcast when we
yeah.
were recording. But
Yeah,
yeah,
so yeah, amazing gesture, and yeah, crazy, like obviously we said at Mazzano, but yeah, massive character, sorely missed, but absolutely never forgotten. I think, the impact of him and his videos and his career will be felt for a long time. And yeah, gonna miss tuning into his videos, to be honest.
yeah, I mean, it's a nice way to sort of remember him by, and
Mm,
yeah, the perfect little send off, and something that his family can always have as well. The fact that he has that championship now, and that will go down in the history books, and it's so well deserved, and it's something, that we can all look back on and sort of have a nice memory,
mm,
even with the sadness.
yes, 100%. But yeah, I think that's time. Thank you for listening. Back next
Yeah.
time.
Bye.
Bye.